I'm Catherine Austin, and welcome to Living Karma Yoga, a show where we celebrate all that the yoga world has to offer, from the postures to music, mantra, meditation, travel, cooking, and so much more. Yoga for 1 hour just isn't enough in today's busy world, so we'll help you take your yoga off the mat and into your life too. I hope you find here many tools to help you live the life you deserve, a life where you can literally vibrate love, joy, fulfillment, and abundance in all forms. So today we have a couple guests. We'll start with Nancy McCauken. She's a teacher at Karma Yoga, and she began her formal teaching career in 1989 when she was hired to teach freshman composition. At the time, she was convinced that she could help people live better by teaching them to think more clearly through writing. And then in the summer of 1994, she was called to be of greater service, and shortly thereafter began teaching yoga to a small group of students and faculty at the college where she worked. She moved to the Metro Detroit area in 2001 to pursue her yoga studies full-time and has been teaching locally here since 2002. Nancy has nearly 1,000 hours of formal training in yoga and is the author of Yoga at the Wall. She conducts workshops, facilitates retreats, and is one of the lead trainers in Karma Yoga's teacher training program. And then Lynn Meadow joining me today is an ERYT 500 as well, and is known as a compassionate teacher who supports individuals on their journeys to healing and wholeness. An experienced yoga teacher with an additional certification in yoga therapy, she weaves therapeutics into both her group classes and private sessions. Lynn is the owner of Yoga by Design, through which her pioneering approach to individualized teaching and therapeutics has earned her quite the reputation for being the go-to person when it comes to questions of healing. Lynn is the founder of the Yoga by Design Foundation, which funds yoga programs for underserved populations. She has produced the DVD Yoga for Graceful Aging and appears in the book Like Stanzas in a Poem, Yoga at the Wall by Nancy. Wow, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm in amazing company with these talented women, and you can see how profound their studies have been in their years in yoga. And we've been together a really long time, so this is fun just to be here. We were trying to figure out when it was we all met, and we just decided it's over a decade because we've been together a long time. So thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having us. Good.
Well, we're excited about this segment because we really want to get the word out about our teacher training. Although I've been talking lately that it's really more of a yoga school. And I'd love to elaborate on a lot of that today because this isn't for just somebody that wants to be a yoga teacher. This is really going to deepen your knowledge of yoga, your practice of yoga, and you'll start living your yoga more and more. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, I would.
Yeah. So let's start back to kind of how we all began, because many people would say, well, why should I take a teacher training? I don't know if I want to teach, or I don't know the poses, or, we'll get to all those kind of subjects. But let's kind of dial way back to when we started and kind of what drew us into taking a yoga course. Let's say it that way. So you want to start, Lynn?
It just seemed natural to me. One of the things that happened to me is when I stepped on a yoga mat, I felt like I had come home. And after many years of practicing, it just was a natural transition. I didn't know what I was going to do, whether I was going to become a teacher or not, but I knew that I wanted to know more.
Mm-hmm. And you had a long background in dance, right?
Right. Okay. Dance and a lot of other types of physical activities, and then a career in social work.
Right. So what were you doing before you stepped into the yoga teacher training that I met you at?
I worked with adults with developmental disabilities.
Okay. Right. And then you were practicing yoga just at the time as a student?
Yes.
And then felt drawn to go further.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And Nancy, when we met, we all met at the same place at the same time, but we read that you were teaching. So was it your yoga practice that just said, I want to get deeper, or?
Somewhat. Actually, I took my first teacher training in 1995, and I was already teaching yoga at the college where I was working. And it never occurred to me at the time, it was before Yoga Alliance and any certification program, many certification programs, it never occurred to me that I couldn't teach or share what I knew how to do. And although I had just started practicing yoga in January of 1995, I started to teach so that I would study more and so that I could actually practice and deepen my practice. Because I'm a little lazy physically. I'd rather meditate or just sit around and watch clouds. So if I didn't have some incentive
I love it.
for something to actually, somebody to be accountable to, I knew I wouldn't practice, and it was good for me. So when I met the teacher that I studied with, he said, hey, I'm getting together a teacher training. And I thought, I was living in Southern Ohio, and then I commuted up here once a week to do that. And since I was already teaching, that wasn't an issue for me. I just wanted to learn more. And all along, any studying I've done has not been so that I could teach, but just so that I could learn more and deepen my understanding of yoga. So an idea of taking yoga school, I think, is really wonderful, because in the weekly classes, you can't get the kind of philosophy or the depth or any of the background material. You get little snippets and pieces, but unless there's a formal curriculum, you know, you go, how does all this go together? So,
and that's it. We can only share so much during our regular teaching classes. We, you know, because our students are coming for a particular exercise or flow, or definitely some meditation or even spiritual journey, but we only have an hour or maybe an hour 15 minutes with them, and it's all we can do to share this or that a little bit every week. And if you want to go deeper into the philosophies and the studies and the mantras and the meditations and the mudras and the anatomy and so on, we have a large curriculum. This is yoga school. And this is for everybody, right? It doesn't matter whether you ever teach or not. It's not totally focused about being a yoga teacher. It's a journey for yourself to develop and grow in your yoga practice. And when I came to the yoga teacher training myself, I was 15 years as an aerobics instructor, fitness instructor, and I stumbled onto it just because I thought I needed to stretch. And so that's what a lot of us did. We crossed the street from the health club and we went over and took some yoga classes. But like you were saying, gosh, the minute I stepped on that mat, it was something had activated in me from like maybe past lifetimes. I was like, whoa, this is familiar. This feels so good. I don't know what's going on, but I need to be here. And it was probably within 6 months I hung up my aerobic shoes and totally dove deep into yoga.
Never went back.
Never went back. I think I got on a spin bike last week, but that was okay. That was good. But never went back because it was obviously meant to be found, and it's been profound. So even if we had not pursued a career in teaching yoga, how would the training in immersion still assist somebody in their life today? What would you think on that?
It's just a whole different way of looking at things. What's amazing about yoga is that it can be intermixed or intermingled with any other belief system. In fact, what it does is enhance other belief systems, because you release so much tension and stress so that you can see things more clearly. So whatever you do, a yoga teacher training or a yoga course can just enhance your entire life experience.
What have you noticed in our students? Because last year we did this, the three of us really taught this course so much differently than it's been in the past, and you taught a tremendous amount of it. What did you notice in watching your students growing through it? Way beyond teaching yoga, right?
I saw softening and a deepening of an understanding of who they are, and a sense of community and caring. And there's one student we had who's introverted, and she didn't say very much, at least at first, you know. And I'm kind of an introvert too, so you know, I just let her be, because that's the way I like to learn. Is just, you know, don't put me in a group. Thank you. I want to be by myself. But toward the end of the session, she blossomed and she made so many beautiful connections. It was really wonderful to see. the friendships, the joy and the light that people brought in was just absolutely wonderful. So it wasn't about doing better postures, it was about
Right.
being more connected to themselves and other people in their own lives.
This particular group last year, but I see it every year, but this particular group last year, they really bonded.
Yeah, they did.
I saw them on Facebook going off to the DIA together and doing potlucks together, and we just had a baby shower last weekend for someone. And these are lifelong friendships, aren't they, when we're in a teacher training? I mean, look at us.
Yes. There's
Yeah.
true connection that happens as you grow and experience these things together.
Yeah. Well, I often say to people that the teacher training is really for them to grow, not to become a yoga teacher. And that they're going to really start to live their yoga usually through this kind of course. We offer everything. What are some of the things that you're specializing in that you teach in the program?
I teach ethics. The seat of any teacher is very powerful, and we have to really understand the power a teacher can have, and then we have to present ourselves very ethically and understand also the power of yoga and how it can transform, and it needs to be done slowly. And so a teacher has to have a sense of his or her students. So from the ethics, then I teach anatomy, so that, because ethically I believe that you have to understand some anatomy and some alignment to be able to teach if that's what you want to do. And if you don't want to teach, then it's great to know for yourself and
Oh
how
my
does
gosh, yes.
your body operate and move.
How you
So-
can be so safe in your practice and not get
Right.
injured, right?
Exactly. So that's a big component of what I teach, is the safety in the postures, no matter whether the postures are done in the chair, on the floor, on your head. It doesn't matter. It's all yoga.
And you're teaching us and our students how to work with all types of populations, right? Because a lot of people think that, oh, I can't come to a teacher training because I can't do all the postures and it's all about advanced yoga. Not at all. This is a foundational training.
Right. And the true yoga is really not about the advanced
Right.
postures.
Right.
You know, it's about the breath and how we use the breath and then the sensations that arise. So, and that can be done for anybody. I have had training to work with people with paraplegia and quadriplegia. So any body can do yoga.
And Lynn, you're such an expert at working with the population that might have some limitations or recovering from an illness or injury. That's why you're known as the go-to person. I send people to you all the time. You're the person. So that's what our students are going to have such an amazing experience studying with you. What a gift. I mean, I don't know anybody in our community that has that kind of knowledge and offering.
Thank you.
So
Thank you very much.
that's, and then what are your focuses in the yoga course, yoga school?
Philosophy, history of yoga. As an undergraduate, I had a minor in philosophy, and as a graduate student, I studied critical theory, which is kind of a philosophical discipline, and I really like the fine points of philosophy, but also how it impacts our thinking and our daily lives, because it's not just an abstraction to me, it's like interpreting what this actually means and how it's relevant, and that's something that I'm really passionate about. I also teach chakras, which are the energy centers in the body. And it goes along with philosophy, but it's not just philosophical, it's more conceptual, it's experiential, and how the energy centers affect the body, how they play out in everyday life. So those are my two specialties. I also teach posture and asana and modifications and how to use the wall in yoga practice.
So with for instance, your Yoga at the Wall book, that's a huge plus that they have to study with you. You have your DVD, and in all the years of studying, that's the one thing that's really different, I think, at Karma Yoga, is our teachers continually study, continually grow and evolve in their practices. And we're on the older age, so we have life experience and
Wisdom. The wisdom age.
wisdom age, yes. So that says a lot that we bring to our teaching, And in my part of the course, I love to share kind of the details of verbally teaching and to helping people to be able to really be clear and confident as they're speaking, maybe somebody through postures. But again, if you're not interested in teaching, this is not a huge part of the course. And if anything, it's just going to help you with your voice and your throat and being able to be clear and speak your truth more.
Right.
You know?
Right. And that's really important. And I think that's one of the, if I can jump in,
Yeah.
the really foundational or fundamental things about what we teach is how to help people become more themselves.
Yes.
And to really discover
Yeah.
who they are, not who they are as a teacher or who they are in a asana or how to do a handstand, which are fun things to do, but really what they're here for.
Yes.
You know. So I think that's
I
important.
love that. And to find what your destiny is perhaps in this path. Maybe it is to work with a certain population. Maybe it is to teach handstands. Maybe it is to have a more spiritual journey in your yoga. There's something, you know, we can help everybody. And I love what you said about the diversity of this 3 teaching staff is huge. So we really meet people where they're at and we can help them on their journey where they may want to grow to.
Right.
You know, and also I focus on mantra and music and meditation, and so these are big fun pieces that I can bring that are huge parts of the layers of yoga. So our students at this school get so much knowledge and wisdom from this foundational course. And the course, by the way, does start October 3rd and goes to March
14, 15,
14,
16,
15,
something like that. The second weekend in March.
Yeah, and
whatever
it's very
that is.
flexible. We work around people's schedules. If they may need to miss a class or two, we're going to be able to help them with that. So not to think not to take it because you have travel or plans already. Talk to us and we'll work with you on this school schedule. So let's talk a little bit about why some people are afraid to take the school or training because they think, well, I can't do all the postures, or do I have to stop eating meat? These are kind of illusions that you're not ready or something. Does anybody want to speak on that?
I would like to speak on that because in addition to the idea that you're not supposed to eat meat, that comes from the precept of ahimsa or nonviolence in the Yoga Sutras, which is kind of a foundational text. And you know, the way we process meat is very violent. So that's where that comes from. But what people will discover is that as they change, their attitudes change. And so it's not like, okay, you have to live this way and this way and this way, but there's an evolution that happened, and I'll use my own life because I've had trouble with coffee all my life. And when I first started practicing, I went to tons and tons of conferences, and I met somebody who had practiced with Mr. Iyengar, who brought yoga to the West, and you know, I'm struggling with, this was in 95 or 96, struggling with giving up coffee, and somebody said, oh, Mr. Iyengar loves coffee. I thought, oh, darn it. Okay, well, I've since learned kind of why and those things, but you know, I have finally made that transition where I don't drink it anymore. And that's been very recent because I don't want it. I don't like the effects that it has on my body. And even though, and I live with Lynn and she brews a pot every morning, you know, and it's like, no, it's not a bad thing. You know,
not
people
bad or
different
good,
nervous,
right.
it's not bad or good, it's just a circumstance. And I'll go, no. So it's changed
Glad I don't
me.
smoke.
Yeah, it's changed me, you know, and so, and the same with cigarettes. I used to smoke cigarettes and I don't want them anymore.
Right.
So it's not about giving things up, it's about growing into a different person.
Exactly. Yeah. So a little more elaboration on that. This is a path of clearing and purifying. So the more that you do these practices, you get cleaner, clearer, less toxins. And so I naturally just felt it was gradual. Like, I don't think I want to eat meat anymore. It's not tasting good to me. I don't even crave it. I don't want it. And that's how it happened. It wasn't I woke up one day and said, I'm not eating meat,
Right.
and made this strict rule. No, that wouldn't be natural, and that would be really a struggle. So it was just a gradual thing for me. Coffee, I go on and off. I think it's cleanses that help me with that.
Right.
Okay, so how about addressing, well, I can't do all the poses, so I certainly couldn't be a teacher. That's a big fallacy.
Well, there's many poses I cannot do, and I've never been able to do. And again, if we go back to the foundation of what we're offering, is the foundation is the breath. The foundation is the philosophy. And that can be applied to anybody, anywhere. So yoga can be done in a chair. It can be done lying in a bed. So you don't have to do the physical postures. The physical postures are an entryway. We do those so that we can work with our breath through the postures, and also so we can observe ourselves as we work through those postures.
Right.
So as an example, when we work with people who are less able or challenged because of other physical ailments, we can even work with imagery. So you imagine that you are in a particular posture. You use your breath, and it's amazing what happens with the body. So it doesn't matter whether you can stand on your head or not,
Right.
or do that handstand. Okay, this is a philosophy that applies to all levels and all phases of life.
Well, that's what I always say to people, because don't you, as I do, even at this stage of our teaching, we're teaching where we're at.
Right.
So in the beginning, we only taught where we were at then as well. We're not able to walk in the room and just make up something that we don't even have a connection with. So we wouldn't be teaching handstand if we're not practicing it yet. Or maybe that's not even our desire to practice that. So if you're really happy in a gentle yoga class or a beginning yoga class, you're going to shine there as a teacher, because that's what you own, that's what you practice. And that's what we all do. We teach only what we really practice and connect with, right? So
Absolutely.
that's how you're successful. And that will even change over the years.
Definitely.
As you grow and change. I used to be teaching all the handstands and the arm balances. Now I've gone another direction, because it just takes you there as you grow and evolve in the practice. So that's a neat thing too, to realize that you don't enter in at one place and that's where you stay. There's a lot of places you can go as you grow in this path.
And I'd like to add too that teaching comes from a desire to share
Yes.
what we know. So it doesn't have to be formal teaching.
Right.
You know, if we're feeling more equanimous and more joyful, we're sharing that and we're teaching that. If we are, you know, really excited about, oh, look at this cool handstand I can do, then we'll share that with somebody who's able and interested in doing it. So
Right.
doesn't have to be formal.
Beautiful. I love that. So let's talk about what is the commitment a person makes when becoming a yoga teacher. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
No, I'm not much big on commitment.
Well, is there a commitment? You know, or are we just going on a journey to see where we might end up? You know? I mean,
Yeah.
as far as taking a teacher training.
That
you know?
resonates with me more, is
Right.
that we're committing for this part of the journey, okay, and we then will see where it takes us and what we want to do with it. There's no commitment that you have to go out and teach.
Right.
You know, once we do make a commitment to teach, I think what Nancy said is very accurate, and you as well, Catherine, is that we teach from our hearts, and that's the commitment. I think that we at Karma Yoga School, that's a very, very important aspect, that we want people to teach or to go forward from their hearts and not as puppets. So we're not asking our teacher trainees or anybody who takes our classes and our courses to go out and all teach the same.
No.
It's to help you to find your own true nature
Your own
and work
voice.
from there.
Right. And a lot of people also have this illusion that as soon as the course is done, you're supposed to be teaching. It's really just the entryway. You're not, most people don't even step out of a course ready to teach whatsoever. That's when you're going to, you take the course, and then if you have a desire to be a teacher, you're going to sharpen that tool from then on. And how would you, we offer that actually after the training, mentorship or student-teacher classes, or, having feedbacks with teachers. How do you see people getting more support after the training?
Can I go back and answer
Yeah.
commitment?
Yeah, please.
So basic commitment is to show up. and to be
There you go.
present.
Yeah.
And to be open to what's there, and to be present enough and engaged enough to ask questions, and it's a mediation. So that's kind of the basic, where do you want to go from here?
Okay.
To ask the trainers. That's the basic, I think.
Okay. And then after the course is done, it's not like we close the door and it's done. They come to Karma, they see us all the time. I'm constantly mentoring or answering questions for people. How about when they may do their observations or assisting in classes, if they're choosing to do those to get their registered yoga teacher certification? Those can go on way after the course because it's too much to get it all done during the course.
Right.
Yeah, we're always there for
Right.
the people who are in the course while it's going on and afterwards to continue to mentor and direct and
Right.
teach.
I often tell people it's a lifetime membership once you take this school course, because I helped mentor a woman in Grand Rapids open her own yoga studio many years later. I will get phone calls from a teacher I trained 5 years ago. How do I price this workshop? How do I price that? Because those are the things we can't teach them all in the training, and they don't know, and we can really help
Right.
people with that.
Right.
Good. So is there anything else that you want to elaborate on? We have a couple minutes left. We know the training is starting October 3rd. Again, it's yoga school, so it's not just a teacher training. It's going to be held at the West Bloomfield studio because we have that great space now to have our training in our home. What are the gifts of teaching? Do you have any final words on the gifts of being a yoga teacher?
I think that was my question, and I remember, and this comes from my teaching as a freshman composition teacher. I remember, I have a master's degree, lofty kind of ideals, and I walked into it's Southern Appalachian, Ohio, and I went, oh. Didn't really like some of my students very much. They were, I was a little arrogant. And what teaching has taught me is to be more patient and kind and compassionate. And I might cry. And to soften and to temper my kind of the pitta, or the fire that I have, and to really look at human beings and to enjoy being alive. So that's what it's helped me do.
That's so beautiful, Nancy. Thank you. Well, gosh, I guess I'm running out of time too quick. But thank you so much
You're
for sharing
welcome.
with me today. And for more information on the teacher training, please go to our website, www.karma-yoga.net. And we'll see you in October.
Good.
May the Lord